call the meeting to order. Please stand for the pledge. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, Trish.
Mrs. Brew?
Here.
Mr. Kramer?
Here.
Mr. Menegini?
Here.
Mr. Oja?
Here.
Mr. Pop?
Here.
We'll move on to the approval of the agenda. Is there any additions or changes? No. I need a motion on the approval of the agenda.
I'll make a motion we approve the agenda.
Support.
Mr. Kramer?
Yes.
Mr. Menegini?
Yes.
Mr. Oja?
Yes.
Mr. Pop?
Yes.
Mrs. Brew?
Yes. We'll move on to the approval of the minutes of the regular meeting of November 19th, 2018. Is there any questions? If not, I need a motion.
I'll make a motion we approve the minutes of the regular meeting of November 19th, 2018.
Support.
Mr. Menegini?
Yes.
Mr. Oja?
Yes.
Mr. Pop?
Yes.
Mrs. Brew?
Yes.
Mr. Kramer?
Yes.
We'll move on to the manifest 2018-23. Jeremy, do you have any questions?
No, no questions.
Lee?
Page 4, the fifth one down, professional services, G-Brooks Electric Golf Course new pump motor. What, is that our problem or is that the golf course's problem, Ray?
I'll have to double check on that one.
Okay. I
Where is that
appreciate
one, Lee?
It's the fifth one down, golf course new pump motor,
Okay.
173.72. That's all I have.
That one, I can respond to that one. Actually, that's for the lift station. That was the lift station work, wasn't it? Yeah, it's a lift station pump, not the golf. That's a lift station that runs that line that comes from the golf course.
Oh, okay.
But it's our lift station.
No problem. That's all I have.
Brett?
No, I have no question.
Scott?
I have nothing for tonight.
And I have nothing either. So do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion we approve manifest 2018-23 in the amount of $767,377.47. Support.
Mr. Oja?
Yes.
Mr. Pop?
Yes.
Mrs. Brew?
Yes.
Mr. Kramer?
Yes.
Mr. Menegini?
Yes.
Anyone wishing to address the council on any agenda item shall do so now at the podium. State your name and address for the record. We have no one. We have no public hearing. Appointments and presentation. Ordinance 429.
Okay, at the last meeting, we introduced two new ordinances, and we're going to be going to public hearing on those ordinances on the 17th. And I did reference that we had some other work that we've been looking at from an ordinance standpoint. This is one of those cases. In fact, when I went through some of my files, started organizing the other two ordinances, we had already put the paperwork together on this ordinance. It had run through the Planning Commission, and this is actually something that was initiated. It's been initiated somewhat from the public, from property maintenance, but also we reviewed it at the Planning Commission, and they recommended and approved for council to consider making this change. What it is in the property maintenance under section 302.08 for vehicles, the language is except as provided for in other regulations, no inoperative or unlicensed motor vehicle shall be parked. The request is that we keep the inoperable, but the unlicensed be stricken because it's not a motor vehicle code issue unless they take it off the property and get onto a public right-of-way. There are many cases where someone's selling a vehicle. That's one of the main reasons, selling a vehicle. But, I mean, I know people that have seasonal vehicles where maybe it's just a little truck that they run a plow. Yeah, so that's something that, in talking with the police department, they also recommended or they didn't have any issue with that, and code enforcement. So if the council's pleasure, this is again our first reading, we could go to public hearing on the 17th as well and run this same time with the other two.
I'm fine with that, because
Yeah.
I see you know, because if somebody buys a vehicle and then they wanna go sell their vehicle outright, a lot of times they transfer their license plate onto their new vehicle, so as long as it's on their property or
Yeah,
private
we still
property.
maintain it operable, it has to be able to move.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm all for it also, especially seeing it was supported by the planning commission. They're the ones that really looked
Yep.
into it.
Absolutely.
Does anybody have a problem with that? Okay, so we will put that, public hearing for,
That'll be the 17th as well.
okay. All right, we'll move on to approval, USDARD WWTP project pay request. Mr. Anderson.
Okay, in our meetings, trying to close out this project, there's been a number of parts of the project that we held off to, pending where we came out in our budget. We have roughly $100,000 after I ran through the numbers, we have roughly $100,000 remaining, and this is outside of the remaining SCADA work, the remaining engineering work, and the issue with the teacup. So this is monies outside of that.
So this doesn't include the teacup?
No, that is a separate item that is covered through that $140,000 retention. So, in working with our group, we said, let's take a look at these areas that we initially wanted to do, but we held off, and I listed them out for you. That total is about $90,000, $90,477. It includes, we've already done the pickup truck and this lockout tagout, which we needed for our lift stations in the plant. But this includes the chemical, or the chlorine analyzer, the outfall building, to put that back in place. It includes, we wanted to upgrade the mixers because we're having trouble, and this isn't just because of overflow on the regs. This is now some issue that is happening that was not foreseen in the original design. We have, we're going to include the chemical room SCADA upgrade as part of the SCADA part of the project, and then we got some wasting valves that we have to upgrade, piece of equipment, the lab incubator, and then we've got to move some probes in the lift station.
So this is still included in the project of the remaining money?
Yes.
Did Scott and Brett, did you guys get to?
Yeah, I got to review it, yes.
I didn't.
Okay.
Yeah, I reviewed it. I mean, it's stuff that we've talked about throughout the whole project. And we just kept basically pushing it back till we made sure that we were going to be okay and have enough
money?
Yeah.
Did we get the truck right?
Well, we got the water truck is now in our shop, and all we have to do is put a logo on it. So we're in good shape.
The pickup truck itself, not?
We got
not
the truck and the
delivered?
plow.
The truck and the plow, okay.
Yeah, we have to go on order now for the wastewater truck, so.
So you're saying this pickup truck, we already got that?
Well, we already purchased that, we approved
already
that at
agreed
the
that.
previous meeting.
Yeah.
You don't have that truck. You have
This truck is not here, the water truck is,
But the one that's on here?
the one not on here is gonna be
Okay.
in the spring, when we get that truck.
Okay. All right, if there's no other questions on that, do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion that the Norway City Council approves the invoices for the WWTP project pay request in the amount of $90,476.91.
It's not 92.
Well, I handed you out the actual, pay
The
request.
new one,
that's-
82,121?
That's the number that we're gonna be submitting. Part of that is already covered.
The one item on there is outside
Okay.
project funding costs. Taking care of that differently.
Okay, do you want to take back that
Yep, I'll take-
motion, please?
I'll take back that motion, and just add the $82,121.85.
So it's not adding it,
No,
it's
It's the-
That's an amount.
Yes.
You're
it's the
approving the 82.
82,000 amount.
Support.
Mrs. Brew,
Yes?
Mr. Kramer,
Yes.
Mr. Menegini,
Yes.
Mr. Oja,
Yes.
Mr. Pop.
Yes. And how much is left in contingency?
That'll leave us, well, it was 13,644, another 8, so $21,000 roughly contingency.
And how long do we have to spend that or give it back?
We're gonna have to, unless we get an extension, we have till December 31st. So that's why I put this together, so that we can work on getting that finalized.
Okay. So we're gonna get that remainder?
Well, what that'll do is, it's similar to what we did with the water project. It'll be rolled into a payment, so, because it's all loan money.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. We'll move on to QPAD Regional Commission. Mr. Anderson?
Okay, this is another one that we've talked about in previous meetings. We had a joint meeting not too long ago with the Norway Township, discussing the redevelopment ready community program that we signed on with the MEDC. From our perspective, this program is important because it's necessary to qualify for community development block grants. As I worked through the program specifics with the representatives from the MEDC, this is something that is city-centric. The township does not qualify, even though we're partners in the planning commission. The township does not qualify for the grant monies that are tied with this program. So in talking with not only the township, but also with the planning commission in going through this, the one area that we do have to work together on the joint funding is the master plan update. The proposal that I have for you this evening for consideration for approval is what they call a public participation plan. As we went through the design of the program, there's a number of different areas that we have to address. The main one is, of course, the master plan update. But I think that based on our experiences over the last number of years, it made sense to come out with this, with evaluating and putting together this public participation plan for the city to try and get more cooperation, a better participation out of our residents. And it's something that we need to look at, we need help with facilitating, and so that's where this request comes from. The request is for $1,930.80. As part of the RRC program, we do qualify for up to $25,000 of matching grant funds for any of these programs, but they're in the evaluation process right now. They figure that after the first of the year, they'll be able to release the $25,000. I think that based on the other projects we're having with, like, especially the master plan update, that I'm not sure, I'm asking if we can move forward on this part of it before January 1st, so that we can get this taken care of and a plan put together, so when we go through capital improvements planning and especially the master plan, that we have this plan in place. We would not put that toward the 25,000, but it's something that we felt like we should at least get on their schedule. We should start this process rolling.
When was the last time we did a master plan?
It was over 5 years. It was about 5 to 6 years ago when we did the update.
And what did it cost to redo the master plan?
Well, at that time, we had QPAD revise it, and it was, I don't have the number at the top of my head, but we did an update to the census. That was a big update for us. So I'm thinking that it cost us probably about $5 or $6 grand a piece between us and the township.
And the township isn't gonna pick up any of this?
Well, not on this public participation plan, but on the master plan, we're gonna have to, because they're part of the master plan.
You mentioned matching, Ray. What?
Yes, 50/50.
50/50 match?
50/50 match. And I don't have confirmation, but I'm going to request that they include this as part of our match once we get qualified come January 1st. I don't have confirmation on that, though, so I can't tell you that they will. They just won't be able to release any of the 25,000 before he gets through that process. And he figures first thing of January should be close to that.
Well, we definitely need QPAD. In the past, they've been a real big help.
Even if we decided to hold on and wait until after the first of the year, my recommendation has always been to start with public participation plan, because, we go out and try to solicit input. We need a facilitator. It just works, I think it works better for the organization to have a third party try to help in that process. But I think we have to have something to bring out more participation, more comments, more energy.
Well, we need the public participation as part of the master plan, if I remember.
Correct.
Any other questions? If not, I need a motion.
I'll make a motion, QPAD be approved to provide the public participation plan for a price not to exceed $1,930.80.
Support.
Mr. Kramer?
Yes.
Mr. Menegini?
Yes.
Mr. Oja?
Yes.
Mr. Pop?
Yes.
Mrs. Brew?
Yes. We'll move on to the approval DPW purchasing request sidewalk machine unit number 125.
Well, unfortunately, we see that we weren't able to get the machine out after the snow on Friday and Saturday. That's something that it came across the office this morning, where late last week, there's a repair needed to the sidewalk machine. This was started on last week before the snow, but it definitely needs parts, and unfortunately, even with approval and ordering of the parts, it's going to take a couple weeks to get in, and maybe another week or so for Rick to install. So hopefully we don't get a lot of snow between now and the time that the machine can get back on the street. But we have a need for order parts. We have to go right to the manufacturer. The dealer is no longer we no longer have a local dealer to deal with. So we're going right to the source. The parts are $1,283.11, and we need those to get the sidewalk machine back on the sidewalk.
That machine ain't that old, is it?
It's older than you think.
Five, 6
At
years.
least, yeah. But it's like the street sweeper. It has a lot of moving parts.
Takes a beating.
It does take a beating.
So just so the public knows, that's why the
That's-
sidewalks haven't been done,
Yeah.
because the machine is down right now.
And we talked about it this morning, because the ladies were getting calls, and they weren't really sure what was going on, and so we had to coalesce and kind of get everybody up to speed. But we need to, and in fact, unfortunately, it came out after the newsletter was finalized, and so we won't be able to get it in the newsletter. But I think we could take a look at trying to get that information out as well. We have a defined route. We're thinking of maybe sending letters to people.
On the route.
Anybody who's on the route, send them a letter direct, get it out on Channel 7. Of course, if they watch the council meeting, they'll see it advertised. Maybe
Can we
that could
put
be
something on Channel 7 too?
Absolutely,
Then people will know.
yep. And I'm sure the Daily News will have that as part of the article. So,
There's an hour meter on that, isn't it? Not a mileage?
yeah, it's an hour meter.
Could you find out for me just how many hours we have on that thing?
Absolutely.
Curiosity more than anything.
Yeah. Yeah, and like you mentioned, I mean, any snow removal equipment, any blowing equipment takes a tremendous beating anyway.
It's also the same machine they use to mow,
It is, yes.
to mow the sledding hill and everything else. It's multi-purpose. It gets a ton of use.
Yeah, and when it goes along the highway, not so much on the sidewalks to the school, but on the highway, it's amazing what they hit, what comes off of the highway. So,
If there's no other questions, I need a motion.
I'll make a motion that we approve the purchase of the sidewalk machine equipment for a cost not to exceed $1,283.11.
Support.
Mr. Menegini?
Yes.
Mr. Oja?
Yes.
Mr. Pop?
Yes.
Mrs. Brew?
Yes.
Mr. Kramer?
Yes.
Move on to the approval, stormwater assessment management.
Okay, this is disbursement number 9 for the SAW program, the Stormwater Asset Management Wastewater Program. The total for the disbursement is $45,005.75. The DEQ grant component is $40,505.17. Of course, that's a 90% grant.
How much do we have left on this, Ray?
Let's see, it's in the paperwork.
I missed it. Remaining, 175.
Yeah, 175.
When do we expect to be done with this? I mean, another 6 months,
Yeah.
year, 6 months?
Yeah, they're middle of the summer. Should be getting close.
Any other questions?
No.
If not, I need a motion.
I'll make a motion that SAW grant disbursement number 9 request be approved for $45,005.75. Support.
Mr. Oja?
Yes.
Mr. Pop?
Yes.
Mrs. Brew?
Yes.
Mr. Kramer?
Yes.
Mr. Menegini?
Yes.
Anyone wishing to address the council on any item can do so now at the podium. State your name and address for the record. We have nobody. Move on to council comments. Mr. Oja?
Nothing tonight.
Lee?
Couple comments. One, thanks to all who participated in the Christmas Day Parade. It was a decent night, a little south wind. The fireworks was great, which is usual. It's kind of weird to see snow on the ground and fireworks going off, but it really brightened things up. And I would appreciate a moment of silence from everyone. Friday, December 7th, the day of infamy. It'd be 77 years since Pearl Harbor was attacked. If you could just take a moment and reflect on that. That's all I have.
Brett?
I have nothing.
Scott?
I just have one question. Where are we at with the street signs for the crosswalks and for the no parking on the one side? I see a lot of congestion going on right now with the
Yeah,
busing and cars.
Well, we've been talking with Grant about, we got the signs in, and now the posts are in. Unfortunately, we got the frost, so how to stick them up without, now the crosswalk signs, I mean, we put them out now, we can't really put them out, so we're gonna work on those in the spring. But as far as the actual parking signs, I guess we have to decide, do we put them out now or wait till the spring based on?
I'd kind of like to see them out, if we can heat up that frost, because it's pretty bad. There's cars that are, and the buses are parked right in the middle of the road. And now with the roads snow covered, it's pretty dangerous.
Is that even possible?
Oh, sure, I mean,
You can heat,
You
you
can
can
heat
heat, yeah. I mean, it's not, the frost isn't down 5 feet right now, it's only down so far. You can heat.
I don't know
get 'em
how
down.
far it's down, actually, probably about a foot.
Yeah. I just don't like seeing the buses parking cars in while they sit in the middle of the road.
Yeah. Okay.
Anything else, Scott?
No, that's it.
I want to thank everybody who participated in the Christmas parade. It was a nice parade. The fireworks were nice, and just appreciate everybody who worked so hard on that. Do we have any other information on the teacup, or no?
We're waiting on them to take the sample. I think that's at this point, Bruce. I mean, there was an email that came through today.
Yeah, they had to order the parts, I think, the line is gonna be the same.
I think we've got the procedure down.
Yeah.
That's all good. There's a tap that needs to be done.
What I read in the email was that perhaps the test will happen sometime next week. I don't know what parts they're doing. They didn't have them in stock. They only got a 2-inch tap in the pipe, and they had to order 2-inch valve, and they ordered something they didn't have in stock. The city's doing the tap, and there was some of that stuff they didn't have, so the email that came home from Scott Nowak was was, that stuff's ordered, as soon as it gets you to coordinate putting that tap in, something on the test.
I think they get the results back very quickly.
There was quite a bit of time trying to get responses from the TCAP people and everybody on kind of buying into the test procedure.
Okay.
And long story, but that's delayed things a couple of weeks probably.
Okay. Thank you for the update. Also, so, next meeting, just so the public knows, we will be having, the open, what is it?
The public hearing?
The public hearing on both, the marijuana.
Marijuana, of course, what we just presented tonight
Right.
with the vehicles, and, help me out, the third one,
What's the question? I'm sorry.
our public hearing, the ordinances.
The ordinances,
Just ask me, I thought.
yeah.
Oh, the Todd signs, the tourist signs.
Yeah, so if anybody out there has anything that they'd like to bring in before we make a final decision on these, we will be having a public hearing, which is, the next date is
December
December 17th. So if anybody has anything to say about that, please come in that night.
You can submit written, I mean, if you want to submit written questions or comments, you can do that too. We'll take
Because
that.
what are all the other communities doing, with the marijuana one, the selling of, do you know what the other communities are doing? I know
Well,
we're gonna get into this more next week, but I just want people to be aware, so,
Yeah, from the administrative side, their councils seem to be moving towards opting out, and, to the point of where the state has its regulations in place. Grant, I don't know from off the attorney's listserv, if you're hearing any different than that.
It's been a hot topic of discussion, trying to see how this is going to play out and implemented. I think it really just comes down to, I think what I'm seeing for the most part is erring on the side of caution just until the state kind of gets their ducks in a row. We've had the medical marijuana in place for some time now, and they're still developing that aspect of it, which I know for many is frustrating. The voters have spoken and a couple times now, and it still is lagging behind. But I think that it appears as though, anyway, in the listserv and some of the discussions is just proceeding with caution. And I think our mayor, Madam Mayor, made the comment last time perhaps that we can always adjust things as we go forward. And I think Madam Mayor's spot on with making sure to hear from the community as to what their thoughts are. There was a vote that was already in place, and I'm sure the council will consider all of that as well.
and I think there's a lot of miscommunication about this, because there's a lot of people out there making comments, so why wouldn't we do this to get the taxpayers' money? Well, that money isn't gonna come directly to us anyway, but that's not why we're not doing it. If we did decide, which we haven't yet, it's more of a caution, because the state hasn't told us exactly what we're supposed to do with it if we do it.
Well, and I think beyond that, I think there is some discussion during lame duck legislative sessions about curtailing, and everybody has their opinion on that as well after a voter initiative, but there's been some discussion about the legislature doing some lame duck changes to the taxation, to where the money goes. So I think there's, frankly, quite a few things that are unsettled, unfortunately. And I think there's a lot of discussion even as to where the money will go and the actual economic benefit. There's just a lot of things that will work itself out. And again, from the information that I've been provided regarding the opt-out language, it's simply as to, again, the setting up a shop, grow, the transporter. We don't have the ability to preclude folks using it here in the state of Michigan. So that's beyond our scope.
Okay.
As far as I know, there's only one place in the UP that's opted in on it so far.
Yeah.
I mean, there might be more, but I only know of the one.
I think the problem is a lot of them are opting out, just because, like he said, there's so many unknowns that the state hasn't told us what we have to do, even if we allow it at this point. But we'll see what happens. But if anybody else has questions or concerns, please come that night and share your concerns with us. Mr. Anderson?
One of the questions I would have, the only comment I have is in the memo this weekend, in my report, I had a request consideration or dealing with the easements over in Wisconsin. And I know that, you know, there's and again, I'm not an attorney, so I'm gonna throw the ball back over to Grant on those kind of responses. But, you know, the properties that have been asked for access, there's a property owner that's trying to sell their property, and their access is through the city's property, but there's no official easement. They've been using it for decades and decades and decades.
That's the only way in, right?
It's the only way in. So, you know, their request was for us to give them a formal easement, because, like I said, they're selling their 40 acres. After that, we've got a second request, kind of it's the same situation. So, you know, I don't want to sit here and talk about prescriptive easement and those types of things, because I'm not an attorney, but it just seems from a logical standpoint that they've had access for all these years. You know, we have to look at the details of what's provided in the easement, if there's anything beyond egress and ingress, which we've already made some comments on. I just wanted to get it out there. I don't think there's any problem with discussing this on a public basis, because it is public property and affects the public. But there's nothing we're really giving away. They've been doing this for years. In fact, FERC told us to install gates limiting access, and in doing so, we gave the keys to these property owners. You know, so we recognize their right to cross the property to reach their property.
And don't we cross some private land to go in there?
No, we don't have to cross private land to get into that section. There's a section on the north, or on the west side, especially now with our timber sale, that we're going to be requesting some possible small easements with the neighbor, but that's mostly out of convenience for getting the logging job done. It's not really a necessity on our part for use of the property.
Does anybody have any feelings on that? You wanna?
Nobody really wants to hear that much from me. These roads have been in place for, as Ray mentioned, decades. And these people have purchased, and the individual that we're talking about that started this discussion anyway, you know, when you're seeking to sell these properties, the banks all require, make sure to have legal access, and this is coming up more and more, where for years and years and years, people have accessed their property over different individuals' access points. These roads have been here over in Wisconsin, I think, and I didn't know this until a couple of years ago, that the city of Norway owns, I think it's probably, 300 acres?
Plus.
Over in Wisconsin? 400. That's where this property is located, and an individual that has a 40 way back in, has been using this property. I think he purchased it back it was some time ago. It was actually advertised in the real estate sale as having easement access. These roads are nothing new. These aren't being expanded. They've been there for some time and used by a number of individuals as well.
No, this is part of the property that we're trying to sell to the DNR, right?
This would be on that particular property.
Is that gonna
yes.
affect the sale to the DNR?
I don't think so, because it's access that's already been there for years, you know, so, there's no new activity that's going on.
Okay.
The thing is that they have the right of questioning it after the fact. I mean, if they had to address the DNR, you know, that would be up to them, I guess, to deal with that issue. I think that this, in some respects, is probably better for the property owners to get that taken care of.
Yeah.
But I don't think it'll have any effect whatsoever in the actual sale.
Should we call and make sure on that?
Yeah, I can. The problem is that they're not very responsive, and they haven't been very responsive. It's probably one of those that you probably just want to, I'd just like to have buttoned up, you know, and taken care of. Grant, I don't know if you've got any comment on that.
I'm not familiar enough with the status of where things are at with any of the discussions with the DNR regarding the sale or not a sale, or where things are at, or
I'm not up to speed at all on it, or if there's any kind of an agreement in place that.
There is none. There's an interest note from when we first went out for comment that they wanted to do this, and then they went radio silence on us. And I've been working in Madison trying to break that loose, and so, like I said, they just haven't. Now with the new governor, I'm hopeful that will get broken loose, but at this point, they just stopped talking. So we kind of put it on the back shelf, didn't add it to any of our budgets, and we'll see if it comes through.
Yeah, and that was quite a few years ago already.
It was,
that they
yeah, I've been
came in.
working on this for 5 years, probably, 4 or 5 years. Longer now when you looked at with FERC, but,
Does anybody have a problem with that?
that's the reason I brought it up. It's just,
I
if
don't.
there was any problem, let me know, and otherwise, we're gonna proceed. It still has to come back with the final agreement. So,
Well, and for councils, this came in, they contacted us a little while ago and asked me to start doing the paperwork, and my response was, well, if you want the easement, you do the paperwork, and you do the legal work and the legwork and provide it to us. So we recently we did receive this. Ray and I went through it. I think it was last week we chatted. There was some language, and we still thought it was a little bit too broad. They were asking for, as typical, right, ask for a lot and pull back a little bit. So we were making some changes and some additions and subtractions to it as well, but thought it was important to get it in front of the council, just so the council knew what was going on, and that this is public land, and this was a request from a adjoining property owner for this request.
but Scott, I will make sure that in communications with Wisconsin, that they're aware of this.
Is there something we could put in there that will give you the easement, but if we go to sell it, the buyer has their own idea on giving you the easement, that it's up to them?
It's more like a license and not transferable.
Sure, yeah.
I don't.
I just hate to
we
see
can-
it, I want to give these people the easement, but I just hate to see it, we're trying to sell their property, that property is no good for us. But if they're saying, well, you gave them easement through there, we didn't want to. So I know the DNR had cut off a lot of roads in Michigan, that the property that they wanted buying, and that there has been people that have not been able to get back to their property, that they had to find different ways. And Wisconsin's gonna be different.
Why don't we, outside of that DNR issue, we'll proceed with dealing with them on the language?
Yeah,
but
shoot the language.
Maybe that's something, Grant, you and I can work on with the DNR, and see how they evaluate this what I call prescriptive ease. I don't know if that's what it's really
Well,
called,
and frankly, it's also, maybe council just says, we don't want to give them an easement.
Yeah, that's true.
Let sleeping dogs lie, and we're just gonna not give it to them. But again, they've been.
I don't feel like we should do that. I mean, that's my opinion. But I
No.
mean, I agree with, we gotta look into make sure that, and as long as we're holding it, maybe like Scott said, something can be put in there.
Well, maybe we can just inform them that, we're proceeding with getting the final language pending confirmation from the DNR.
Yeah.
Something on that order.
So,
And I do have some contacts in Madison that I
Okay.
can probably get some movement on the communications that way.
Is everybody all right with that?
That's all I have.
Grant, did you have anything?
No, thank you, Madam Mayor.
Mary, Trish? I need a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion, we adjourn.
Support.
Mr. Pop?
yes.
Mrs. Brew?
Yes?
Mr. Kramer?
Yes.
Mr. Menegini?
Yes.
Mr. Oja?
Yes.
Meeting adjourned. If we have any students out there, make sure you get your,